Hey everyone, it's Devlog time, and we have reached the 8th episode following the progress on my indie game, which is a top-down shoot-'em-up that I'm coding in Swift on top of the SpriteKit and GameplayKit frameworks. Since the last episode, I have mainly been adding to and improving on the entity component system and the state machines. I have also implemented proper preloading handling of assets using Asynchronous Operations. There's not too much to see regarding that, as it is under the hood stuff, but I wrote an article on my website on the subject, so feel free to check that one out. I will post a link to the article in the video details. A second article continuing on the subject will be up shortly, and in the first article I walk through the basics of operations, and in the follow-up article I will tie it together with SpriteKit. So let's move on to the ECS and the state machines. Entities can now much easier and more streamlined have different animation states to move between. I proved the working of this with a turret entity type, which has a background animation that fires something inside, and another animation layer on top of it that can open and close the doors. This entity also uses a new bullet fire component that doesn't just randomly shoot bullets, but instead shoots a sequence of bullets aimed at the player's current position. And it only fires when it is in the open door state. So the animations are tied to the entity's states. I also tested this with the second variation, which uses a code-based animation to rotate the turret to aim at the player and then fire a sequence of bullets. So a few more passes on the components and the state machines, and I think I am at the point where I can do pretty much all the things I need to do with this game. The next improvement is animations for entities based on movement or direction. Previously, the entities just followed the path and were pretty much static otherwise, but now the animation component has been improved, so it can add an orientation on top of that, as can be seen here. But what makes this a tad more interesting than just changing the rotation is that I've implemented a combination of rotating the sprite and using baked animation frames. So I can get a smooth rotation while still getting some lighting effects on the actual graphics. So I think this can make it look pretty nice once the final assets are being created and utilizing this technique. And related to that, I did another quick test with more enemy behaviors. So here's another component I created in the engine that adds the behavior of chasing. So if the player gets too close, the entity will start hunting the player, and if the player gets enough distance between them, the hunt will stop. So while looking simple right now, this could be an interesting enemy with a bit more polish on the actual behavior and the different possible states the enemy can be in. And finally, I coded a rough path editor so I could start experimenting with some more interesting movement patterns like the one you see here. I used Xcode Playgrounds to quickly prototype the path editor. Playgrounds is actually an excellent way to prototype new features in an isolated space before I add it to the real code base. So I'm very happy with how quickly I can get some results by using a playground. I haven't really done that before, but I will for sure keep doing it this way. So anyway, this will later on be part of the level editor, but I have not decided fully how I want to handle formations and things like that yet. So I will leave it cooking in the playground for just a little bit longer. That concludes what I've been up to lately. Next, I will work on the firing components, so I will be able to have some more interesting bullet patterns in the game. And I will do a refactoring pass or two on the existing ECS code base. It's time for that. Anyway, thanks for watching, and I hope you enjoyed this video. You can check out my blog, where I'm writing more in-depth articles with code examples. And you can also follow me or reach out to me on Twitter. Links are in the video description. So, may the source be with you. Cheers!